Hey everybody, it's Commissioner Arrington, and welcome to this episode of Boating with Brandon. I'm here with another great Osceola County resident, or I shouldn't say current resident, but past Osceola County resident, Trooper Steve. And we are down here at Southport Park, where we're gonna go out with some of our good friends from Boggy Creek Airboat, check out a little bit of Lake Toho, but also the biodiversity and the brilliance of Osceola County. So I just want to thank Steve for coming along to learn a little bit more about him and a little bit more about Osceola County.
It's going to be a great time. I'm excited.
Awesome, Steve. Let's go ahead and jump in the boat.
Hey everybody, thanks so much. It's Commissioner Arrington. Thanks for tuning in to Boating with Brandon. Today we've got Trooper Steve with us. Steve, thanks so much for being here.
Man, how better could this possibly be? From the roads out to the water, no complaints from me.
Right, and it's so great. I'm also excited not only to have Steve with us down here in Southport, but also because Steve graduated from the area as well.
Yeah, Poinciana High School, go Eagles, class of 05.
Oh,
I'm young.
there you go. 05. Yeah.
Coming down here, I was like, man, it's so nice. My parents, my mom still lives off of Windmill Point out here, built their house years ago. And just to see that this is still here, pretty awesome.
It is pretty amazing. And as we were talking earlier, a lot of people probably don't know about the availability of options when it comes to parks here in Osceola County. And that's why I'm so excited to get out here and show everybody the great opportunities we have just a couple miles from where everyone might live. So I want to thank, before we get started, Captain Chris with us from Boggy Creek Airboats. It's going to be running us around the lake. We already have checked out a big old gator that's real close to the boats here as well. I know Steve was saying you do love some alligators.
Hey, if they've been sticking around this long, they're doing something right, so I'm a fan.
There we go. Well, guys, let's get out on the water, check out some of the cool stuff happening here in Osceola County, and then we're going to stop and learn a little bit more about Steve.
Pretty awesome, huh?
It's peaceful, man. Right? Beautiful out here, isn't it?
Oh, it's on the level, and I don't mean to sound cliche. It's like almost emotional. And I genuinely mean that. We're so busy all the time, no matter what your job is, whether you're a 9 to 5, whether you're working just crazy hours. I don't think we realize the piece of heaven that we have 2-3 blocks from our homes.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Insane.
It is. And it's amazing for me, and we heard this from Dr. Shanoff too, getting on the water really just provides a level of comfort. I know for myself, and just kind of an ease to a busy day. It almost serves as a mini vacation.
Absolutely. It's so much peace.
Yeah.
I was smiling the whole time over here. The birds are up. The sun is shining. People are having a good time on the water.
Yeah.
This is great.
That's what it's about. That's what we want to make sure people understand, the true beauty of our community.
Absolutely.
That we grew up in and that we were able to take advantage of and kind of live and evolve and grow. And you mentioned jobs. Obviously, we all are very busy and very hectic, and you seem to be one of those individuals that might be a little busier than most.
Doesn't stop.
So let's talk to us a little bit. Tell me how a guy who graduates from Poinciana High School becomes Trooper Steve. What's that evolution look like?
Man, talk about having the blessings from your beliefs and just an amazing family and team of friends around you. I don't believe anyone gets anywhere on their own. I think if you put the right people around you, you really have the opportunity to do anything. And I grew up here in Kissimmee, lived out here in Poinciana for a long time, and what really bothered me was a lot of people were like, "You just want to be a cop?" And that rubbed me the wrong way, because growing up here, I was always surrounded by some really amazing law enforcement officers, whether it was at the sheriff's office at Osceola, St. Cloud, or Kissimmee. And I'll never forget the first time I met retired Sheriff Bob Hansen.
Okay. Fantastic guy.
Amazing.
Amazing guy.
Amazing. And it really changed what I always wanted to be a fighter pilot. When I was a kid, when I met him, it immediately changed. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a law enforcement officer one day. I wanted to do something crazy and big. So I was like, I'm going to join the military.
Wonderful.
Got recruited out of the Kissimmee office. I joined the Air Force. I got to travel the world. And I still wanted to fulfill that law enforcement element of my life. And I remember applying to 20 different agencies at the time, Osceola Sheriff's being one. But back then, people had a surplus of cops. So everything was kind of frozen. and the state highway patrol, FHP, was the first people to respond, and they showed up at my Air Force base.
Oh, wow.
Tyndall in Panama City. I
Really?
lived here at the time.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to do something with this. And they were like, you can go anywhere in the state. Well, I knew where I wanted to come back. And my first assignment was right here back in Osceola County.
That's wonderful.
So I did everything I could to really involve myself with local law enforcement. Not to put my nose in it, but how can a trooper be assistant to the county, to the city and stuff? And I had a great time with doing it.
It's fantastic.
So I would sit out on Pleasant Hill Road running speed and run into old high school buddies.
Sure.
And I'm like, sir, need to see your license, registration, your proof of insurance. And they'd be like, Steve, come on, we went to high school. I go, oh, I remember you. Cool, I need to see your license, registration. And we'd have a good little laugh about it, nice warning, send them on their way. But it was really cool that I was back home, doing what I always wanted to do. And then I gotta give all the credit to the famous Lieutenant Kim Montez with the Florida Highway Patrol, the face of the Highway Patrol here for 25 years. She saw me, I was riding motorcycles at the time, and comes, you're really good at this talking thing. I go, I don't know what you're talking about. I talk like the average Joe. And she goes, come work for me. So I became the assistant PIO.
Okay, great.
There were so many times where the fatal crash scenes, I'd show up here in Osceola. And there was a time where one of my fellow students that I went to school with was involved in a fatal crash. And I remember being on that scene. But being there, I felt I was doing the right thing. It was someone I went to school with. I grew up here, and I'm caught doing this investigation. You've got to do it justice, I think. So I really grew a passion for it. So many people think like, oh man, all right, it's just a couple of sound bites. But no, you've got to want to do the job. You got to want to have a good time doing it. And people started calling me Trooper Steve. And I'm like, okay, I got something here. I'm trying to get people emotionally involved with what I'm talking about. No one cares about traffic unless you're in it.
That's exactly right.
It was 2017. News 6 reached out to me and said, hey, we want to have you come join our morning team.
Okay.
I was like, my education is not in communication.
Sure.
And they're like, no, we want to talk to you. We want to bring whatever it is you're doing over to WKMG. And no one else was doing that. It was a light bulb kind of moment. You mean I can have a personal interaction with my community and kind of almost educate them a little bit about what we do as cops on the road? Anything is really possible if you just gotta have passion. People think, oh, I'm gonna go to school for this. No. What are you passionate about? I never thought I'd be part and plug the #1 morning team in Central Florida. As a kid that grew up in Kissimmee,
Right.
that makes no sense to me.
Yeah, no.
It's crazy.
It's amazing where a path that you don't realize can take you.
What it's been created is a true blessing, and I get to represent Osceola County all the time.
That's awesome.
So it's a lot of fun.
That's really cool. You know, you mentioned on safety, and obviously that was a large component of your career for a long time, and still is.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about the roads today and people on them. Well, if you could give some advice to our average driver, what would that be?
First thing I would say is come out here to Boggy Creek Airboat, take yourself an airboat, and then just bypass traffic all the time. In general, the most dangerous thing we do is operate a car, but we don't even treat it that way.
Yeah.
And if I think we started to understand that a little bit, we would start to see driving better. We'd start to see, I think, interpersonal communications at the grocery store better.
There's hope, right?
There is hope,
So-
but I think we focus on these huge things. No, it's got to start with the basic stuff. Whether it's wearing your seatbelt, whether it's stopping at the stop sign bar, and then looking past to see if something comes in. I remember the Poinciana Patrol and all that stuff back in the day. And it's just crazy what we've seen, the growth here in Osceola. But on the flip side, it says people want to live here.
That's right.
People want this. Who would not want this in their backyard?
It is an amazing asset, our natural environment. And people, to your point about the amount of growth and transportation, Central Florida, to your point, is I think 1,500 people a week are still moving to Central Florida. And it's a challenge. We all know how it is, and you in your position as well. How hard it is to keep up with the infrastructure.
Absolutely.
To make it safe. But as you said, we all kind of do our part. If we all pay attention, maybe put down our phones.
Yeah.
You know, I think that goes a long way towards improving not only our transportation network, but really the safety out on our streets as well, because we want everyone to be able to
grow up like we did here in our community and have good opportunities and hopefully still want to come back here at Osceola County at the end of the day. And I think that's what's so important. And it's exciting to hear your family still being in the area as well.
It is the little things, Brandon, and I just wish most people would just bring it back to that. Because at the end, it's the little things. We're sitting on an airboat in Osceola County, and we're embracing the little things.
Yeah.
And how happy are we right now?
I tell you what, why don't we ask Chris to maybe run us around a little bit more, check out some of the lake. And Chris, you ready? What we can do? Awesome. Thanks, Captain. You're a big outdoor guy, right?
I enjoy the outdoor, but I call myself like the bougie outdoor guy.
I like it. What do you like to get into on the weekends?
So I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, I'm gonna stand up in a tree stand or anything like that.
Gotcha.
But I enjoy everything that Florida has to offer. You're talking, we have the most beautiful beaches.
Yeah.
Some of which are extremely dog friendly, so I'm all about it. Then of course you got stuff like this. You've got kayaking. We've got mangroves. You can just go for a great trail walk. Being outside, I'd take this any day over watching some TV. Right?
That's really cool. And you get a chance to make it around to the state parks as well and check out all the springs.
Absolutely. Ever since jumping over to the public Trooper Steve side of working for News 6, you get a lot of people who suddenly just want to invite you out. But it's great because then people are like, hey, come out to the Seminole Trail, or hey, come out here to Weeki Wachee, or come out here and watch the manatees. And to see that and to have a platform to share that with other people, then people will respond, hey, I went out because I saw you there.
Yeah.
And talk about a great time. It's the coolest thing in the world, because I know if I'm enjoying it and if this is bringing my crazy life a little peace, I can only imagine what it's doing for other people.
That's great. So you're a dog guy?
Dogs all day. I will talk with a dog longer than I'll talk to any person. Yeah. And I mean that out of fun. You have a dog?
We do. We're dog folks. Right now we're down to one. He's a 80-pound pit bull, but he is a sweet boy. So how about you? What do you got?
When I enlisted in the military, I, believe it or not, rescued a puppy from the Osceola County Animal Shelter.
Great job. Don't shop.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, 2 years ago, she passed.
I'm sorry to hear that.
15 years old.
That's amazing.
And I get choked up thinking about it. Like, she was everything to me. Through every early adult challenge, your dog is always there.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that her health, she was getting a little older. The world works in mysterious ways. One of my coworkers was at a doggy daycare. There was this puppy, 6-month-old, mini golden doodle.
Oh, wow, okay.
And that was going to be rehomed. If they didn't find a home, they're going to send her to the shelter. And I was like, absolutely not. So within 20 minutes, I brought the dog over to my wife's job, let the dog run into the store, and she's like, what is this? I go, it's our new dog.
That's right.
So her name is Margaret.
Okay.
And then recently we adopted another one from Dade City from a shelter.
Okay, good.
And she is a 65-pound Newfie-Doodle.
Okay.
So Newfoundland and Doodle mix.
Yeah.
Her name is Teresa. So I have Margaret and Teresa, two distinguished ladies living in my house.
I think we're ready for a tea party.
Yeah, right? They're basically prime ministers hanging out in my house. But our lives absolutely revolve around our dogs. If we can't take them somewhere, I guess maybe I'm not going.
Yep.
And that's like my love for animals runs deep. I'm an ambassador for Harbor House for Paws for Peace.
Wonderful.
My girls were the poster children for that. And it's a series outside of safety. Animal advocacy is huge. And
That's awesome. And you really said some interesting thing about the dogs you've adopted as well. And I think people miss out on this. Those are my designer dogs that you were able to adopt and not pay $1,000.
correct.
And create more population.
Absolutely.
Animals. I mean, and I think people miss out on that a lot of times. I think they think they're just going to get, a junkyard dog.
Absolutely not. So it's the crazy part that the idea is there. It's like, if you've never been to a shelter, and I know you visit the shelters a lot, just to walk in there and look at these animals' eyes, whether it's a cat or a dog, they just want a happy spot. And
yeah.
Anyone can do that with a good heart. You don't need a huge house. You don't if you've got a small apartment, it's the love.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I've been through some serious hardships over the past couple of years. Battled cancer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The passing of my dad. And to go home and have that love of the dog,
Yeah.
it softens me up.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely
Real quick.
No matter how bad your day is, they're going to be excited to see you because their day is almost focused around you.
Yeah, 100%.
It really is amazing. And to your point, the impact it can have on mental health.
Huge.
One of the things we tried to stress through our animal services is really that option to have somebody so you don't come home to an empty house.
Right, but not even just the dog. What this does here for your mental health, if you just take a second, not a sound but the wind, a few birds chirping, you can hear the water a little bit. This is the stuff people look on their phones to play to go to bed.
Yeah, and I think we've seen a bald eagle, an alligator.
I'm still looking for one
as well.
Get another one.
Which is great though. But it's been a great time getting you out here on the water. I appreciate it. Around, enjoy Osceola County. Also learn a little bit more about you and not only your advocacy for animals, but your involvement in the community.
Absolutely.
And I think you're a great example of how people should embrace their communities and harness that love of whether it's Osceola County or any part of Central Florida or Florida as a whole. It really help your community grow and thrive. And you've done a great job of that. And just want to thank you so much for coming out and representing Osceola County. It's always good to see another Osceola kid or Kissimmee kid, as I always like to say, getting out and moving up in the world. So,
well, Commissioner, like the fact that you guys reached out and recognized the fact that I'm trying to represent Osceola as much as possible and the lot. Home is wherever you want it to be.
That's right.
Osceola will always be home to me.
But I just want to thank everybody once again for tuning in to Boating with Brandon. Our great guest, Trooper Steve, Captain Chris behind us. Thanks so much. And once again, if you're looking to learn more about Osceola County and the things happen, feel free to go to osceola.org, the county's website. You can also tune in to any of my social medias, Arrington4OC. And if you want to get what's happening on a regular basis, always go to Positively Osceola. I'm Commissioner Brandon Arrington.
I'm Trooper Steve.
Thanks so much for tuning in. You guys have a great day.